Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, and today we are talking about the new moon. It's on November 19. It's at 28 degrees of Scorpio. Okay, Capricorn, let's talk about what's ahead for you for the next 2 weeks. And so this is the new moon chart, but of course this is run for my location using Placidus houses. And so the first thing I want to do to change this so I can predict general predictions for Capricorn and Capricorn rising is I want to change the house system to a 0 Aries chart, and then I want to turn the chart so that Capricorn is on the ascendant. And so I will do that now, and there you have it. Now that puts this new moon up here. Oh, let me grab a pen. So the new moon is up here now in your 11th house, sitting there with Mercury. And this is a very potent combination. This is a Cazimi Mercury sitting there retrograde, not even sitting, retrograde, moving towards that new moon as the new moon is moving towards it. Now, Mercury, of course, is your communication, your ability to connect with people verbally through written communication. It is how you can inspire people, how you can meet people and talk over all kinds of things. Now, the sun is bringing light to this Mercury, making it easier for you to think things through, have new ideas, and communicate effectively. That said, the moon is there also, which puts a lot of emotion into this energy. And so that can be that you can become emotional when normally you're quite logical, or that you are talking about something that wouldn't have emotion in it. And so sometimes emotion can be very beneficial. It can help move people. You can tell stories and have people really understand. But sometimes what it can do is that you get overly emotional and not get to see the other side of the argument, or perhaps that because you are angry or feel a lot of emotion about something, you might not be speaking clearly. Now with Mercury retrograde, you'll get a second chance to do it, but Capricorn energy likes to get it right the first time. So utilize this energy to move people, to talk to people about their feelings and how they could feel when they do whatever it is that you're trying to convince them to do. So that's just one component of this incredibly powerful new moon. The second thing is that this new moon is making a trine to Jupiter. That's about expansion and luck and learning new things. Additionally, this new moon is making a trine to Saturn and Neptune. And so Neptune's a vision, seeing what you want to have happen in the future. And then Saturn is a structure. Saturn, which is, your planet, so you understand this, that is when you combine these two, like having the blueprints for something, having the vision and the steps to do it. And then, of course, Jupiter is making the trine to both Saturn and Neptune. Now that's a grand trine, extremely fortunate energy. It's almost too fortunate though, because what happens is that we ignore all the good stuff because nice things are happening. So we miss the treasure because we found $1 in the street. So you do want to be paying attention to this and really activate this energy. And you can do that by expanding on something, going farther, as well as checking the blueprints, checking your plan. What is your 1-year plan? What's your 2-year plan? What's your 5-year plan? And so forth. Now, in every story, there is some sort of obstacle, and our obstacle this time is Uranus. Uranus is sitting exactly opposite this new moon. It is making a sextile to Jupiter and a sextile to Neptune and Saturn, and that forms a kite pattern. We can see the kite here, my expertly drawn kite. This is the top of the kite, and this is the tail of the kite. So the new moon part is the tail of the kite. That's the steering mechanism. That's the rudder here. That means that it's within your power to walk straight into that obstacle And by the way, this obstacle, Uranus and Taurus, is about, unexpected distractions, that instead, you sit down to work, but then you end up scrolling or shopping or, just watching a movie that you've seen 12 times before, like that sort of distraction, which causes you to miss that really positive grand trine energy. Well, if you let it. Now, this is this new moon means you could move forward and you could jump forward, leap forward a couple of steps, and then do the trine to that Saturn-Neptune and stop for a moment and assess where you are, how far you've come, is this still the good direction? And then it comes back to you, and then you jump forward. So that's the best way to use this energy. And when you do that, when you activate the grand trine, amazing things can happen. But be aware that there's going to be a feeling of distractions, that something is pulling at you to say, no, just sit on the sofa a little while longer. Try not to do that, because that would be a pity to miss such strong energy. Now, the other things that are going on in this chart of note is that there is Mars, which is hardly making any aspects, and Venus, which is doing about the same. At least they're talking to each other, and they are doing it in a semi-sextile. Now, this energy indicates that if you want something, it's not quite perfect. Anything that you're receiving is not quite right. And that is so that you will make adjustments. So you won't just accept the status quo. The interesting thing about Mars in the 12th house is it can give you enormous energy. Sometimes we think of that 12th house as being ineffective, but actually this is Mars, it's rising in your chart, so it's actually quite strong. So think of this as like underneath everything, there is extra energy for you. And that's energy for tasks, for projects, for relationships, for anything that you want to do. You have access to it. Now, the results you get are that little semi-sextile to Venus. You may feel a little disappointed by those, but think that that is just to have you adjust. How can you make this better? How can you, if it comes and it's dented, can you pound out the dent? Can you go and exchange it for something better? Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, we want to know what is going on with the ruler of your 5th house, and that is Venus, who we were just talking about, who's not really talking to anybody, and its relationship to your planet ruler, which is Saturn. And right now, there's really not anything going on between these two, so that is that your mind is elsewhere. Now, it's interesting because this new moon falls in your area of community and friendships, so it may be that you're just surrounded by people that you really like as a friend, but you're not looking for a relationship. It could be that you keep running in the same circles, and so if you would branch out, you start to meet more people. It could be that you're just in professional situations and you don't want to mix the business with pleasure, but right now it looks like your mind is elsewhere. And so if that's not the case, if you're really looking for a relationship, consider getting into the community, being part of groups, and looking for someone who shares your profession. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, it's an entirely different story. We want to know about your planet ruler and its interaction with the ruler of the 7th house. The 7th house ruler is the moon, which is part of this new moon, and making a beautiful trine to your ruler. What's going on here is that you have harmony in your love relationship, that the two of you come together and you can see eye to eye on things more quickly and more completely. You can easily solve problems, whether they are part of the relationship or external to the relationship. So there is some really good opportunities for having more harmony and joy in your love relationship over this next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to your money, there's so much activity going on. Of course, we want to know what's going on with your 2nd house. You're going to have Pluto there for 20 years. Pluto is extremely powerful. It will cause you over time to take some extra risks, to roll the dice to see if you can get the big win. But this is a very long transit, so You want to always do your risks as calculated risks. Now, that we also see that the rulers, and you have 2 rulers of your second house, are very active in this chart. Of course, one is Uranus, and Uranus being our antagonist. Uranus is back in Taurus, not so comfortable in Taurus, but now in your house of creativity and risk-taking. That can mean that something that you were working on before, you didn't quite get it launched, now you could launch it. This could be that, where you may be working with someone else and have this creative idea. They thought, oh, it's a little too out of the box, but maybe it's not. Additionally, Saturn rules your second house, so as the co-ruler, and the Saturn, of course, is part of the grand trine. It's making a nice sextile with the Uranus. This is a lot of opportunity for you. This is, and when I say that, like sometimes people say, I don't see it, but it is often because you're just moving so fast. It's hard for the universe to catch up with you to give you those ideas. Try slowing down. Try some sort of meditation. And in this case, with Mars in the 12th house, like a walking meditation, a moving meditation, even a journaling meditation, because it's in Sagittarius, doing those things, and you will find those inspired ideas. But this is really good energy for coming up with something, or more accurately, taking something that you started before and now saying, I'm going to do this for real. I just wanted to jump in really quick to say that my big class on predictions is coming up soon. It's on November 9th. We're going to be talking about the year of the fire horse as well as Western astrology predictions. And so if you are interested in what's ahead for 2026, then there is a link in the description with more information and to register. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, we want to know what the rulers of your second house are doing with the ruler of your 8th house. The ruler of your 8th house is the sun. It is, of course, making that trine to Saturn, very nice, and that opposition to Uranus. I don't know if I can draw an opposition. Not very well. So that's supposed to be an opposition. So what all that boils down to is you want to more lean into the Saturn if possible. The Uranus is like, how can I make something that's different that nobody else does? It's really, really hard. The Saturn is, how can I choose something and become the authority in it? How can I work hard at something and really show some, like cover some ground? Like focus on that trine if possible. I know that sometimes the Saturn is the harder way and Uranus feels like a little bobsled down the hill, but bobsleds can hit trees, so it's do the Saturn. And then when we look at money derived from career for you, and that would be like a paycheck, of course we're interested in what's going on in your 11th house, and it's so exceptionally strong right now. So really consider that this is a very good time for you to be talking to your supervisor about getting a raise, talking to your supervisor about the trajectory in the company. If, by the way, you do talk to them and they say, oh, there's no chance you're going to get anything here, we're doing layoffs, and there's a hiring freeze, that's a sign that this time with this company is coming to a close, and you should be looking around to say what else is out there. Now, also, we can confirm all of this because what we're looking for is a relationship between the ruler of the 11th, which is the Pluto, and your money house rulers. And so we've got actually an out of sign trine with Uranus, and we have an out of sign sextile with Saturn. So both good aspects. So if you want another job, this is a really good time. If you want to get a raise, this is a really good time. Now, yes, Mercury is retrograde, and so there will be some delays, but that doesn't mean that you can't make real progress during this time. With an astrology reading, you get more information about who you are, your talents and abilities. You get to see what obstacles are ahead, and you can get a game plan for how to get past those obstacles and find success. So if you're interested in having a reading, there's a link in the description.